Welcome to this game of Nomad, where we're going to play up against one of the most frustrating strategies in AoE 2, the town center drop. We're playing as the Koreans, and we're closely supported here by our ally, Inq, playing as the Spanish in teal. Inq is pinging the nearby enemies, and we're kind of in a 2v2 position here on the map, against Orange, playing as the Mongols, and Red, playing as the Bengalis. These guys will go for a classic team strategy, where the close player, Orange, will go for the TC war, and Red will go for a fast castle to follow up with military support on land. Our next teammate, Forever, playing as Green, has the Ethiopians in the middle of the map, and Luvac is playing as the Malians in gray. Purple, Stray Dog, is a 2k2 rated player from China, and he's taking these Ibex a little bit far away from his town center right now, but he's quite a good player, and I'm sure he'll get a decent start rolling here. He's backed by his teammate, player 4, Yellow, playing as the Vietnamese. And these guys love to pick Civ on Nomad, and in pretty much every ranked game they play, they're going to have the Vietnamese and a few other classic Nomad power Civs. I'm playing quite close to Yellow on water, and if Yellow does decide to go for water, that'll be pretty dangerous for me. Really, all of the enemy's docks are in the south here, which is quite unusual. And then we've got kind of 2 flank docks and 2 pocket docks in the north here as well, which is, again, very unusual that they would all be lined up like this, and will be extremely rewarding to whoever can win water. As the game gets rolling here, I'll just build a house and eat some Ibex. I like to eat Ibex before bringing in a boar if they're right near my TC, because you don't have to shoot the Ibex for as long with your town center, and therefore you can just gather a little bit more wood to get fishing ships out earlier. We'll go ahead and put as many villagers on wood as possible while trying to keep our TC working and not hit loom. Inq has a really nicely placed boar underneath this town center, and the gold tile is really strong here as he'll be able to collect that super efficiently without ever building a mining camp on gold. Red also has a perfect boar placement, and again the stone will be really nice if he chooses to go for Ratha. Player 3's boar is a little bit out of position, and the berries under his TC are quite pretty. Stray Dog has started to get his eco rolling with boars under his town center, 6 fills on wood, and pretty much a standard start. And Gray, as the Malians, has a nice cleanly placed boar as well. And Yellow does too. We've brought in our first boar, and I'll just go ahead and look around the map here to confirm the enemy town center locations and make sure that we can devise a good strategy against these players. Playing as the Koreans, you don't have any Dark Age eco bonus other than this amazing line of sight, which allows you to do things like not walk into the town center when you don't have loom, thus dying. And you'll also be able to identify where resources on the map are much more quickly. I wouldn't normally lame, but these guys are Civ pickers, and he's got the Mongols, so I'm not going to leave these deer available to him. But since he is going for a town center war, it doesn't really matter, and he probably wouldn't have eaten them in the first place. There aren't really any more boars around in this area. Inq is bringing in another one, though, and he'll get that perfect placement right in the same spot again. Really like to see that. That's something I could learn from him. P3 has another boar in, and again, he's in the same spot, but it's not perfect. Quite funny to see the consistency of all the players, though. And P7, once again, places just an absolutely perfect boar under his town center. Playing as the Malians, he should be in a good position to go for water, and if he is able to flood ships through the south, the Vietnamese player really shouldn't be able to stop him. Only really P2 playing as the Bengalis could, but if he's going land to support the TC war, he probably won't be able to. As Inq continues to get his eco rolling, he'll send out a couple of villas to the west, probably to build a mill or a stone camp. And player 8 has built his lumber camp at this stage, so when he does delete his town center, he'll still be able to drop off wood at this lumber camp. And this is really the first sign that somebody is going for a town center war, though you're really unlikely to scout this lumber camp. And we'll see that player 8 will start to stockpile wood at this stage. He'll want to have a little bit more than just the 275 wood to rebuild his town center, and he's only got 3 fishing ships because he wants most of his resources to be wood right now, so that when he does delete this TC and then rebuild it, he'll have enough wood to repair when I start to shoot back. I figure that I'll have a decent chance in this town center war. I garrison all the villagers I can, but I'll go ahead and reduce this number down to 10, because we were not able to successfully one-shot this town center, unfortunately, which is always a risk if you're doing a TC war with any civ but the Persians. With 10 villagers in the town center, we'll shoot the maximum amount of arrows without any extra vills being idle, and I'll start to add a lumber camp in the back because I want to spread out and have a nice, efficient wood economy. Ink is clearly building up toward Conquistador here, which will be great as he'll be able to help protect me from any enemies who come in. We've been communicating in the early game, and I did let him know that I'd really appreciate support, as when somebody does do this type of town center warplay versus you, it usually means another player on their team will come with extra military to attack. It usually means someone else on their team will follow up with Castle Age military to kill you while you're in the Dark Age. I've opted to not go up in this game and rather just stay in Dark Age so I can get as many woodcutters out as possible, and really going up to the Feudal Age would only get me double bid-axe at this stage, which just doesn't feel quite that worth it when I could just get 5 villagers out instead, and not idle my town center's production at all. Player 8's TC is pretty low at this stage, but he's still got 300 wood in the bank, so we'll both be in a fine position in terms of keeping our town centers up long term. That means we're in this extended TC war, so neither player should die until Castle Age army from an ally arrives. Stray Dog is going up at 32 pop here, and you can see that he's completely surrounded on the mini-map, so he probably really didn't have much food, and that's why he's a bit delayed. But he will be able to get up and probably get to the Camel Archer anyway, if that is what he wants to go to, unless somebody comes with heavy military. For his part, P3 actually is going for a heavy military play, and I absolutely love this as the Ethiopians. He's not going for a market blacksmith play in this game, because he wants to get the range out as soon as possible, and he's going to start massing army, and he'll be able to do a ton of damage with Ethiopian crossbows. Player 7's galleys are out, but it looks like they're going in the wrong direction, but we're fortunate enough to see this player 4 fishing ship scouting, and I tell my teammate that there's likely a P4 dock very close to my south. So player 7 will turn around, and player 4 actually kind of gave away the position of their entire team's fish, and P7 was going in the completely wrong direction until we saw that. So that was very rewarding, just to keep our eye on. But we don't have a whole lot to do here, as we're just shooting back and forth, repairing our town center, and we both have plenty of wood at this stage. Now that I do have so much floating wood, and I've got 15 on wood, so I know I'll never run out in TC War, I'll just start to secure my base. I know there might be knights coming, or some other Castle Age unit, and I don't want them to run into the back of my wood line, and potentially put me in a position where I wouldn't be able to repair my TC, and I could lose it, and then just completely die to Castle Age units. Stray Dog has the market blacksmith here, so he will get up, but player 3's archers will be really formidable. He's got fletching on the way, double range, and he should be in a great position to get out here, maybe set up some archers behind wood lines, he could put them on the stone, on the gold, and completely deny these resources until something like siege units or knights from the enemy are on the field. Player 7 will go for a wall right up against Stray Dog's wall. Because P7's going navy, it does make sense to go for stone walls, but he's quite lucky that Stray Dog is going for a market blacksmith fast castle here, because if Stray Dog did have a stable, for example, and he saw this villager walling, he would just walk out with a single scout, deny the wall, and then all of this effort would be for naught. But he is going Market Blacksmith, and Market Blacksmith really isn't a great build because of the lack of initiative it gives you until you get that castle up. The Town Center War just continues here, and we're starting to build additional lumber camps just because I'd like to improve the worker efficiency on all of these villagers, and if there are enemies eventually breaking through, this will mean that I have sectioned off areas of my eco where I can build walls and make it so that I won't just entirely die in one location. Orange's wood economy is all in this area, and he's at 79% worker efficiency, which is pretty good, but my villagers are just a little bit higher. We've both taken and dealt around 8,600 and 7,800 damage respectively in this game, and because of the extremely high cost of repairing town centers, that means we've both sunk about 2,000 wood into repairs. We'll just keep on chopping wood as much as possible, and you can see that our villager efficiency is up to 92% on these smaller wood lines, so that really makes it seem like that's paying off well for me against these 78% worker efficiency villagers. Ink is getting his castle up, and that means we'll be in a great position because he is way ahead of P2 in terms of castle age production, and now that I've walled up myself, I'm using all the extra res to wall Ink as well and make sure that he'll be safe. Player 3 did find this area with the crossbows, and it's so painful to have these sitting on the back of your wood line. And P6 is now forced to go for a siege workshop just to push back these crossbows, as his unique unit wouldn't really do the best job against them in the first place, and he's in a really challenging position now. P3 is moving over to red, and this is disastrous for the enemy team because player 8 was relying on red to come save him, essentially, because he's put himself in an extremely vulnerable position, while also, to be fair, putting me in a very vulnerable position. Player 2 is coming forward to castle drop me, but now he has nothing at home, and you probably should have built this castle at home as P2. P2 obviously didn't know that all of the crossbows were coming to his base, and if he did, he would have built a defensive castle. There's no doubt. But this castle doesn't really do anything. The Ratha are going to be extremely dangerous, but because I know there's a castle going up right on my face, I can see it easily, and I'll just abandon the town center repairs, I'll fall back, I'll continue to wall behind, and I'll just make sure that I'm not in a position where the Ratha will flood into my base and kill me. As long as I do that, I should be okay here. And Inq is again in a great position to be able to not take damage from these Ratha because of the walls we built, while my villager is sort of AFK now, and I really prefer that he go back and keep building. But he does remember that he's supposed to be doing a job here and walling up our ally. Orange comes forward to take our stone, which is pretty disrespectful, and as a Koreans player, I kind of believe that stone is mine by default. The Wrath are out, but we're pretty much walled up now. And Orange still only has these 3 fishing ships, but it looks like they took some damage, so he might not have had the opportunity to invest in more. I decide I'll put my TC as forward as possible here, so that I can kind of use it as a fortification behind these walls. That way the enemy won't be able to use melee units against the houses to batter them down, and I'll also be in a position to maintain as much map control as possible here, instead of falling back. I want the enemy to focus against me now, because I know they're not able to outright kill me, so I'll just go ahead and try to make sure that the Ratha are in my face and leave my teammates free space to work on the map. We've basically taken a 2v1 at this stage, other than the fact that green is all over red and completely eating him alive. And that's pretty disastrous for red, because green has actually taken him out of the game. And we definitely haven't been in a 2v1, as green has been primarily focused on red, even though he also initially had crossbows behind this wood line, where Inq's Conq has now arrived to, and he's taken over against player 6, and our team is in just such a strong position. This video is all about defending against the town center war, and this is the most important thing to do when the enemy is going for town center wars. Our team is getting out on the map. They've got map control. They're forcing uncomfortable positions for the enemy team and not allowing them to execute their strategy. Player 2 is not able to pressure me because P3 is all over him. P3 had damage against P6 in the first place, so P3 kind of initiated a situation where he was forcing a 1v2. I was essentially forced into a 1v2. And now the enemy team just doesn't have any players. Their eco is equal to ours, but we have 3.7 thousand more military value. P3's army here has completely devastated red and taken him out of the game, and he has not been able to play the role that he wanted to play. The way these guys are playing Nomad is all about putting their team in a position where we're living their masterpiece. Player 8 was supposed to TC drop me and put me in a weak position, and then P2, in a strong position, would come and kill me. But instead what happened is P2 got raided at home, he wasn't able to execute on his plan, and now player 8 and I are both just individually delayed, but his strategy didn't really kill me, so it wasn't actually that effective. And I'm in a position to go for water now and start to pressure the enemy team and kill more fish. So we're in a great spot now in this game. We're going for 5 docks, and much like our allies have been doing a really great job at making sure that the enemy isn't able to force us into living their dream, I'm now going to make military. When they went for the town center war against me, they wanted to put me in a position to never make army in this game. So now that I'll be raiding player 6's fish, I'm now engaged against player 6, player 2, and player 8. Red even has a mangonel out here, which I don't agree with, because he really shouldn't be going for a siege push against me at this stage, but maybe that's actually going to go home and defend his base. I'm not really sure. His base is absolutely titanic right now, and these Ratha would actually have been totally fine against the crossbows because they have such good pierce armor, and they're really effective units against Expos, but he's just in a terrible position now. He's surrounded by Conqs, he's surrounded by crossbows. P3's over here as well, as is player 5, and Inq will just come in and snipe this red mangonel quick as can be, and now he's able to pressure the Ratha as well. You can see the Ratha just completely rinsed the crossbow army, and they very much are not an effective unit against the Ratha. The Ratha is essentially a cheaper version of a knight that can also serve as a cav archer, and it's really good in the early Castle Age, especially against units like crossbows. Player 3 now has Rattan Archers on his base as well, which is extremely painful, though he does have a few crossbows to push these back. The Rattans have an incredibly high amount of pierce armor, and they shouldn't die to these crossbows, and you can see P4 has all the confidence in the world to step in and take this fight until a massive army of Expo arrives to push him back. The crossbows are definitely at the stage in the game where they get their reputation on Nomad for just not being very good. The Rattans counter them, the Rotha counter them, Mangonels counter them. They're not a great unit at this stage, but he's gotten so much value. But I really think Green has been the MVP of our team with these Ethiopian crossbows because he got early engagements against Purple. He then came over and killed Red, which allowed our Spanish player to roam the map with the Conquistadors, doing whatever he wanted. By coming back on water here, we've been able to pressure player 6 and also protect Ink's fish, so we're feeling pretty pleased about that, just to return the favor of keeping our teammates safe. Player 8 went for a tower in response to mine, but he's not actually able to repair this tower. Player 3 is just over here continuing to get value with his crossbows. He's now microing against a Mangonel and Camel Archers. It's a pretty formidable army, and he'll go ahead and back up. P3's just been making great decisions all game, and he makes another really strong decision here, adding the Siege Shop, and instead of trying to micro against the Mangonel with his Expo, he'll just add a Mangonel of his own and take a 50-50 trade in that area. Teal's Conqs have 17 kills, and he's just done such a strong job of coming over and taking back over in this area, as P3 has kind of naturally started to take over the fight against P6 again. We aren't coordinated on voice in this game, and none of us actually know each other, whereas the warm-colored team are all in the same clan, Clan King, as you can probably tell. But I'm really impressed with how well our team is playing in a coordinated way this game, and we're really just doing a great job of always being in a position to fight the enemy where it matters. P6 is going for a raid on Green's woodline with this Mangonel, and he'll start to take shots. But Green does a really good job of responding immediately, and he'll just chase this down with the crossbows while trying to pull back the villagers as much as possible. He does take a shot here, as he might have been thinking about dodging with the Vills, but he only loses one crossbow, as there are no repairs in the area for the Mangonel. The Conqs have started to go down here, but Ink has another wave of Conqs in yellow space, and this is just extremely painful for the enemy, and he's really done an amazing job of just being all over the map with these units and making it extremely hectic for them. Ink also has 83 Vills, so he's in a great position in that regard. These Conqs have 10 kills as well. Oh, but it looks like he might have clicked them back as part of another group, and they'll eat the castle after doing heroic things for our team. P8 will force a castle up here on our towers and retake this position. This isn't great for us, but at least the castle is not even more forward, so I don't hate the result of the towers that we built. We'll both have the resources to go up to Imp very soon, and I decide to not add another TC because I do realize that this is going to be a fast Imp race. We have 2 fire galleys inside this dock right next to all of Stray Dog's fish, and this feels great for us as we'll be able to just pop out and clean this up. Getting value kind of here in the mid-game against enemies who aren't in our area on land feels extremely valuable, as we've now just been able to engage so many players from the enemy team and get a lot of value against all of them. We'll get gill nets and go Imp. We're about 30 seconds behind the Mongol player, but we should be in a really strong position overall to defend here as the Koreans, and with the eco lead of 15 units that we have over P8, we'll be in a really good spot. We finished clearing up Stray Dog ships, and we'll just start to let our team know at this stage that we're in a position to add more fishing ships. Ink is going up to the Imperial Age as well, and he's adding more castles. It looks like he's just going to commit to the Conquistadors rather than switching to Paladin. A lot of players will switch to Paladin, but he's in a great position here to just keep going Conq and Donk and pressuring the enemies in that way. Purple will come forward with a castle against Green, but Green's crossbow micro has been there all game. He takes out the Camel Archers, and now it's only the Mangonel against this mass of crossbow, and he will just go ahead and keep pressuring and diving, being as aggressive as possible, and it looks like this castle has no chance of going up, and this should be the end for their team. Stray Dog came forward to drop this, as he probably knew the game was getting very out of hand for his team in a last-ditch effort. He will continue to send more villagers forward. He will force the repairs on the Mangonel, but player 3, Green, does the right thing here just to start sniping villagers and just ripping apart the army in this area. Ink's Conquistadors do arrive, and the enemy is just in a truly tragic position now, where very little is going right for them. Green's crossbow mass has finally died in this engagement, but they were absolute heroes. And it just feels like Purple lost his entire economy in this area, and he did lose his whole army as well. So this was definitely an amazing engage by player 3, and he's just put our team in such a strong position through his gameplay. He's got a 75-48 kill-death ratio with extremely inexpensive crossbow units. And again, I just love how he's played this game, and he's done a great job of carrying our team. Ink's done amazingly as well. The 48-17 KD is just disgustingly good, and you can see that everyone on the enemy team has a negative kill-death ratio, as they haven't really been able to impact the game. Just getting the 15 kills on water feels really good for me, as I've been able to project a little bit of power in this game. Even though I've fallen slightly behind in the Treb War to player 8, I'm just not the most important player at this stage of the game. Elite Conq comes in for Ink, and he's actually pressuring this area as well, so my timing in the Treb War will not be important even if I do lose this castle. I'm getting Chemistry to start to snipe the Trebs with Bombard Cannons, and my Treb is idle right now, which is a little bit painful, and Two-Man Saw probably isn't the most important upgrade to go for at this stage of the game when I'm being Treb down. But I don't think I actually meant to click that, and I think I realized that I was being Treb, then I wanted Architecture. So maybe I'll get Architecture at some point as I'm repairing this castle, and it is going down pretty quickly against 2 trebuchets. We've got 650 stone in the bank, though, so playing as the Koreans with a few vills on stone, we should not run out too quickly, and we'll definitely be in a position to repair this as long as we commit enough villagers and get the right technologies. With Two-Man Saw at just 23 seconds left, we do cancel it after realizing that we were getting the wrong upgrade, and we go ahead and get Architecture instead. As the Bombard Cannon comes out, we'll start to be in a position to micro down these trebuchets and not allow P8 to kill us. Ink is coming in with his Trebs from the west as well, and it looks like this game is starting to be closed out. As the game's winding down here, I just want to plug the channel and ask you to subscribe to it if you haven't already. It's free for you and very meaningful to me, and just lets me know I should keep making the YouTube videos. Player 8 will go ahead and resign here, as he hasn't really been able to have any success in this game, but his Treb is continuing to shoot from beyond the grave. Ink did a really great job of supporting us in this game, and he's a player who I really enjoy playing both with and against on the ladder, as he's always bringing great strategies to every game, and he's just a really consistent player. I have a lot of respect for Ink. Our team just really did an amazing job in this game. Gray was able to dominate water. Green did an incredible job using the early power of the Ethiopian crossbows just to be all over the map, pressuring purple and dominating red. And I'm just really thrilled with how our team played. It's hard to overemphasize how important it is for your team to make military if you get dropped by a town center. You simply won't be able to do it alone. But teammates like these, who support you with tons of military and really pressure the map, are just the absolute dream to have on your team. And watching this game back, I'm just wildly impressed by my teammates. They all played their role in this game so effectively and allowed us to win. I just love seeing the Conqs, crossbows, and war galleys being the 3 units that the 3 players went for to each take maximum advantage of their civilization and their position on the map to help their team. Thank you so much for watching. This is Varus. Have a great day.